Hi Chris, I'm feeling blessed today. I'm feeling in really, really good form. It's just after going through, or we're just after going through the 12-month milestone from when we started a coaching agreement together. And I was reflecting this morning, it's Saturday morning, and I was thinking about all that has happened. So it felt a good time to put this little video together as feedback to you. I've a few questions that I'm going to guide myself on, by the way. So if I'm looking down, taking it back to the very start, Chris, when we started working together, the biggest challenge that I was dealing with was this massive belief that I had in myself around what I could achieve, and it was about harnessing that and turning it into possibility. And I had embarked on a road a few years previous, a road that I didn't fully understand, but something was bringing me down that road. And it was exciting and daunting at the same time. And I've had coaches in the past since I began my coaching career. I've had coaching and I believe in the power of coaching. But I wanted somebody that could take me to the next level and maybe break me through a few glass ceilings, not just to the next level, because I was impatient. Um, I wanted to get there. I wanted to be that world class coach that I felt it was in me. And not only that, I wanted to do it my way. So that was a big frustration. And it was energy draining as well because I constantly had to believe in myself in something that I was creating that I didn't understand fully what I was creating. So the energy drain was significant as well. So we explored all that when we met. And pretty early on in our conversation, I realized you were the, the person for me. But just before I sent you the money, I remember catching myself on Anna. I know now it was part of your onboarding process, even though I wasn't aware of it at the time. But I remember catching myself and checking in with myself. This whole thing about giving over a significant amount of money and committing to a significant contract or agreement that we were setting up together. Would I be able to get value out of it? And it wasn't that I had doubt in what you were presenting. I had probably doubt in myself. I had done these things before. I'd paid over money before to programs and I didn't get all that I felt I could have got out of it. And part of me knew, or all of me knew that it was up to me. The book stopped with me. Um, would I be able to harness what you had to offer? And so I had to recommit to myself in that moment before I sent the payment. And that was probably the most important element of our coaching, the fact that I recommitted to myself. So, yeah, thank you for that. I think when I reflect back, I saw you speak. You stood up at a conference we were at, and you spoke briefly, very briefly, actually. Um, and I remember, feeling the gravitas that you had about you, um, the words you spoke, the story you told, and I realized I have to meet this guy at some stage. Um, this guy is important in my journey. And it was about 6 or 8 months later before I actually reached out to you. I was looking for a new coach and I was exploring coaches all around the world because I have this mantra in myself that I want to be that world class coach. And it draws up this all these questions: who does a world class coach, and what does a world class coach do in terms of reading books or recreation or inner work? and who coaches a world class coach, all of them questions. And when I start to answer them, I start to come from that place. So, when I was researching coaches, I was looking for somebody that could take me through them glass ceilings, and you very much showed up as in that space. What's the main difference between you and others? For me, it was your ability to connect with me and see something deeper within me, see that possibility, that possibly that genius element, and really see it and start to draw it out piece by piece in an unhurried way. I love the way you stayed with me. Time became irrelevant, and that was important to me in our initial conversations, because even though I didn't know it, I had a lot to say, and the more you delve, the more that came out, and you were willing to stay there. You were willing to hold that space for me, and that meant a lot to me. And your professionalism, your attention to detail, your willingness to show up in the present and not worried about structure, and yet there's so much structure behind all of that. Really shows in how you show up, Chris. And in my experience, you're operating at a level that's just at a level above a lot of coaches. And maybe that's because you've deliberately put yourself there, or maybe that's because perhaps I'm only breaking into that area now, but I think it's the former. Things changed for me about halfway through our 6 months or our 12 months, around about December, January. One of the challenges I was facing was it wasn't coming together for me. I felt I was doing the work. I sensed a change within me. I sensed a change with the work I was doing, but it still wasn't clicking. And it came to a crescendo in early January when my pipeline that I thought was pretty strong just began to evaporate. Opportunities started to dissipate, and that became very worrying, and I got anxious about that. And I remember having a very, very long, difficult conversation with you at the time in early, I think our first conversation in January of this year. And afterwards, I allowed myself to go into myself for a week, and I started to reflect. And the two things that came to me out of that reflection was, number one, I create the impossible. And that was a big realization to me. That was going back to my basics. I don't show up like every other coach. I create out of nothing. I see the possibilities in others and I draw that out. So I don't need a massive amount of success. I need one success, and everything changes for me. And that was comforting. But the second realization that I got, or the insight, was this idea of operating at two levels. One is the reality level, and the second is at an aspirational level. And I'm operating in both and neither. And that realization was very important, because then I recommitted again to myself. Well, am I going to stick this? Am I going to make it work? And that was a yes straight away. Well, then I'm going to come from this aspirational level. And then everything changed. Within 3 weeks, I had two brand new clients at double the fee of previous clients. Two clients that, for me were a step up in terms of what they were doing, how they were showing up, their potentiality in terms of what they were putting out into the world. And that was magnificent. That was just magical for me. And I remember at the end of March, I was thinking, 3 months into this year, I've doubled my entire 2020's income, and I had what I thought was a pretty good year. My 2020, while it didn't go up, was similar to my 2019. and we had COVID in 2020, and now I had doubled that, and I had taken a month's holidays in that 3 months, away from coaching and totally away from coaching. That felt good, and what transpired after that, or after that, was that everything started to fall into place. It was like a massive safe door, and all you could hear is the bolts clicking into place, and then the door just opened, and everything became easy. Everything uh, became natural, and I could step in at a much deeper level. And as I speak, Chris, the gratitude I'm feeling is because 6 months, to the 1st of June, yeah, 6 months has passed, and was it 5 months has passed, and I've tripled my income. And I believe I've taken on my first client, who I believe is a billionaire in waiting. The value they're putting out into the world is worth billions. That's a beautiful feeling for me, because that means the value that I'm putting out there has increased exponentially as well. I'm showing up at a different level to be able to serve that person so powerfully. The testimonials that's coming back from the conversations that I'm having is just out of this world. So that's the gratitude that I'm feeling. Um, I was, yeah. You asked me at one stage to describe you in maybe a short sentence. That's impossible, but I'm going to try it anyway. Um, what comes to me is your coaching is instinctive rather than prescriptive. Um, I love that element about you. You're able to step back into yourself, to see what comes next. Um, that's a very, very, very powerful attribute to have, and I experience it a lot from you, and it has the potential in its own right to change everything. So the more you live into that, the more powerful that becomes, and the more I get from you. Would I recommend you? Of course, yes, 100%. The only caveat I'd put is the client that you're serving needs to be ready to show up, um, because otherwise they're missing an opportunity of their lifetime, and it's an absolute waste. So thank you very much, my friend. I very much appreciate everything you've done for me, and I look forward to continuing our work together. Thank you.